I feel oystery.
Riley and I are staying here at the Nature Conservancy's Mad Island Marsh Preserve. We're here to check out the Conservancy's project to restore the Half Moon Oyster Reef in Matagorda Bay. It's the classic tale of two young men and a passion for oyster reefs.
Restoration of oyster reefs is really kind of one of our main conservation strategies for the Gulf of Mexico, for the Nature Conservancy, because of all the kind of the major marine habitats around the world, like for example seagrasses, mangroves, coral reefs, that type of stuff, that oyster reefs are really the most imperiled and degraded habitats around the globe, actually. And so we've lost quite a bit of it,
In a flat-bottom bay like Matagorda, oyster reefs provide the only significant shelter, so that makes them vital habitat for all sizes of fish, shrimp, crabs, and other organisms. Each oyster feeds by filtering 40 to 60 gallons of water per day, so reefs improve water quality quite a bit. Cleaner water and more fish habitat both support recreational and commercial fishing throughout the bay. And those reefs that are situated near the shore can absorb wave energy and mitigate shoreline erosion.
This is probably one of the last places where we've got half a chance of trying to bring some of these reefs back.
Help me, I'm an oyster!
I mean, they're not in good shape, but they're not so bad a shape that we can't do something about it.
In 1907, Half Moon Reef was 500 acres and about 3 miles long, and now it's been degraded to about 300 acres. That's because of changes that humans have made in the course of the Colorado River that have made predators and parasites of oysters more prevalent in the bay, and because of overfishing of the reefs and dredges actually coming along and scraping it off of the bottom. The Conservancy is going to sink rows of limestone and concrete rubble to the bay bottom. Now those rocks will give oyster larvae more hard surfaces to settle on and help the reef grow back faster.
Well, we put out buoys and what we're calling spat collectors to see how oysters colonize different types of substrates, like limestone, concrete rubble, and oyster shell. And so what we're trying to do is restore a little bit of that habitat and the ecological structure and function that's associated with that habitat in the bay. So we're going to go pick up one of these spat collectors and we're going to put it in the boat and we're going to see what kind of critters are living on it.
I got you.
You have babies?
Those are spat Alligators.
Yeah, cool.
Oyster reef restoration is a pretty simple process, and it all comes down to the life cycle of an oyster. And after about 2 to 3 weeks, these larval oysters will start to come out of the water column, and they look for a hard substrate, hard sediment, or hard substrate to cement themselves onto. And after they've done that, they form the shell that we are familiar with in terms of an adult oyster. So that's kind of how reefs are formed, is you have an oyster that cements itself onto an oyster, and you get this large reef structure, this three-dimensional structure. And that three-dimensional structure in these Texas bays in particular is very important because other than oyster reefs, we really just have these muddy, sandy, silty, soft bottom bays. And so for an oyster, there's no other hard structure to cement themselves onto other than man-made things such as jetties and docks and things like that.
What you're seeing here are, we call spat. Each one of these is a spat. and that is an oyster that has settled as a larvae onto a hard substrate, and it started to build its shell. And so all of these are baby oysters that have landed on the rock, and they've started to grow, and these are their shells beginning to grow. What that tells us is that in good years, when the salinity is right, we'll have oysters that colonize a habitat and grow and provide habitat for other organisms.
God into the
So, let me draw.
hidden world. Hey, Frank. Our boats are all the way over there. Hey, Riley! Riley, go get the kayaks. We got out of the kayaks to shoot. The kayaks drifted away. We've convinced ourselves that this is, of course, ridiculous habitat for gators. Why, a gator would never be here. Riley, it'd be better for you to really hustle and then come back to me. Riley, this is what purgatory is like. I've been crawling on my knees in mud. Let me give you a camera. This is ridiculous.